What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're on F1 2020 career mode once again, episode number 9 for the Canadian Grand Prix. We have a new sponsor contract to negotiate. Our term with PSD is at an end, and I would guess that we're going to go with someone different. Hopefully someone who has a higher weekly and also gold bonus. We're going to sort by weekly income to see if we can get a nice residual each week. And then if they've got a nice gold bonus, then that'll be a bonus, I guess. But just having a look through, I love the look of Neon, and I wouldn't mind maybe getting those guys on board for a major, the primary sponsor next season, potentially. We can make a nice livery with that, but let's not tell Distort about that. I don't think they'd be too happy about my plans. But yeah, just scrolling through, a lot of them up until this point are pretty unattainable for where our car is at this stage. We get to Alkane's Energy, could have gone with them, but they wanted me to not make any contact with another vehicle. We all know that's not going to happen. So what we're going to go for is DSB Optics, and their target is just to get inside the top 10. So I reckon that's doable with where the car is. We're creeping up on the midfield. We're pretty much in the midfield little pack there. So if we have a good weekend, good strategy, whatever, if we live up to our expectations and where I think we should be, then being in the top 12 or even knocking on the door of the top 10 shouldn't be outside the realms of expectation, I suppose. But yeah, we're going to chuck these sponsors on the car, and you guys have been calling this for a lot of episodes now. You wanted me to make the sponsors all in white, and so they're, you know, fully visible from pretty much all angles, and so there we go. Hopefully the car has a much better flow, a lot better balance in terms of seeing everything, and I don't know, not looking so bare, I suppose. But we're going to move on to research and development. Now, we're going to go for the spark plugs for the engine power. That's a no-brainer. 0 failure chance. Pretty small resource points. That's what failed in the last episode. But that'll go on hopefully soon. Apart from that, we are going to have a look at either rear downforce or the cable assembly for weight reduction. I was just looking at the two here and comparing what the failure chance was. I really want to avoid more failures in the future. So, comparing the two, the weight reduction upgrade had the lower failure chance, and so that's what I believe I'm going to go for. If all things being equal, I probably would have gone for rear downforce, because we could probably do with a bit more stability, but I promise that the next upgrade we do will be to the rear downforce, so that shouldn't be a problem. But we're going to get ready for this week's episode, today's episode. This is a daily series now at this point. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying it. Leave a like if you have. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. We are racing towards 500k, and like 50% of you guys who are watching aren't subscribed. So what the hell are you doing? Subscribe so you guys can keep up to date with this stuff. One final thing. We're going to upgrade the fitness center, and we're going to support our teammate Mick Schumacher and give him the support he needs to improve that racecraft. And then hopefully we shall see what he can do. Fast forwarding time now to the Canadian Grand Prix, and now we are getting stuck into the weekend proper with practice 1. We didn't do a qualifying run this time around. It seems like there's a bit of a glitch with the game. The expected target time in the qualifying pace program is ridiculously unrealistic, and I just decided not to do that. So I simulated practice 2 and 3, and I think we got the resource points for that anyway. And also we changed the driver suit. We've now got the Cosmos / Galaxy driver suit, and I think it looks absolutely amazing. I'm getting some like 2014 Red Bull vibes from that. Just suits our color scheme so much. There's the planned upgrades. Major downforce upgrade, weight reduction, and also something else I forgot now. It was 10 seconds ago. That's how good my memory is. But yeah, you can see we're doing alright in terms of development. The engine, the first lot of components are all very worn. The only thing that's probably usable in the first column is probably the energy store. But apart from that, everything else is absolutely knackered. I think in a couple races time we'll get to a point where we're going to have to take some grid penalties. So we'll probably take that at a track where power is at a premium. I'm not too sure where that would be though. Maybe Germany? I'm not sure. Let's hope that our power unit can get to like Spa or something. That should be fine. Anyway, it's time for qualifying now for the Canadian Grand Prix. Let's get into it. Here we are. I'm actually really happy with how everything's unfolding, the way the team is progressing. We've got a much more professional look now, and overall, it's just, things are tracking along really well, and I look forward to where this goes in the short to medium term future for this team. But here we are for qualifying, Canadian Grand Prix. We're getting the slipstream of Daniel Ricciardo up front, seeing if that is going to be beneficial to us at all. You can see we actually caught him up through the first sector. I believe we caught him on a cooldown lap, so that was not great planning from me there. Open the DRS and up to the line for our first qualifying run. It puts us P18, slower than Mick by 0.2. So the training that we've given Mick over the course of the week has paid off. He is in front of us for the time being. We're going to have to pull our finger out here and do the goods here. So we'll see how that goes. 2.5 to 3 now as we exit the middle sector chicane. And we're just going to fast forward this bit because it's all straight line pretty much before we get to the final chicane. This is where a lot of time is won or lost. Thankfully for us, we won time there, and we carry that all the way up to the line. Puts us P10 overall, but we fast forward to the end, and it was not good enough for Q2. Ah, wow. Missed out by 0.3. Mick was, 400ths behind me in qualifying in the end. So that's a weird one. I actually thought Canada was a good track for us, but maybe not. I could have thrown an extra set of tires at it, but I was actually saving a set for Q2 in case we got there. That's not worked, and we're starting a little further down the order. Time to pick a new rival. Danny Kvyat actually beat us in the rivalry. We had a very slow start to that in the first 6 races. We're going to go easy again and pick Pierre Gasly, and hopefully we can get the better of him. He's already out-qualified us, so we're starting off things wonderfully. Either way, it's time for the race for the Canadian Grand Prix.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. Anthony Davidson also joins me in the commentary box today. Now, can I talk to you about Sebastian Vettel? That was a great win. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
Thanks, Jeff. Here we are on the grid of the Canadian Grand Prix. It looks like fortune is in our favour. It's cloudy today. That's definitely going to play into our favour. We're going to lower the fuel load in a second, but for the time being, we're just going to play around with the strategy. The strap that I carried into the virtual GP was a soft, medium, soft, and that actually worked out really well. Doesn't look like that's faster according to this screen. However, we may adapt that as the race goes on, taking about 3 laps worth of fuel out of it so that we can run in lean revs through the more slower corners to look after the rear tyres. It is lights out and away we go for the Canadian Grand Prix, episode number 9 of this My Team career mode journey. Mick Schumacher. I am never training him again because he is a different beast this race weekend, and you know, finally he's arrived, it seems. I won't speak too early, but early stages looks like Mick is doing the goods. Side by side now with an AlphaTauri. That is Danny Kvyat, my former rival. We don't get the better of him. I actually thought I was going to get him there, but no, he had a better run side by side. Maybe the AI are a little bit better with their awareness and racecraft now. So perhaps it is time to get the elbows out that little bit more against these guys. P16, net gain of 3 spots. I would just love for Schumacher to be able to cut through the field in a manner that I could, but unfortunately that is not the case. So hopefully he plays himself in nicely in this one as we get up the inside of a Renault and a Haas into the hairpin. Everyone taking it very cautiously, not really wanting to go for big dive bombs. I, however, love a good dodgy dive bomb, I do, so let's keep that attitude for the rest of this race. Giovinazzi, I could have gone for a dodgy dive bomb there, but no, we will sit in behind him for now. We've got 2 Alfa Romeos in front of us, and I bloody hate these things. They're the fastest car in the field, in a straight line, and they're not great in corners, so it often means that they can pull away on a straight and not be close enough to dive bomb them into a overtaking zone, and so you're just kind of stuck behind them a lot, especially if there's another AI car in between you and them. That's the most frustrating thing. However, we do clear Giovinazzi. Now, we need to get Raikkonen. A lot of people sparking up on the replay cameras, and the only person who isn't is me. It used to be the other way around on the older F1 games. It would be no one else sparking and me just sparking up like a, I don't know, a rocket ship or something trying to take off. That's a great analogy. Let's not do those anymore for the rest of this video, shall we? But at this current moment, we're kind of stuck behind Raikkonen. Again, it's one of those awkward things where he's got DRS, and I can't really do much against him as we actually clatter the wall at the final chicane. You won't see from that angle, not too well, but this is the angle we're after. Just hanging out the rear end, using that to straighten up the car. That was completely planned. I love that stuff. The setup that I've been running is still the same that I've been running since last episode, and it's very tail happy. I've noticed at this particular circuit I really have to be progressive with the power, and it caught me out a little bit this time last lap. Thankfully, we didn't suffer any consequences because of that sim damage. Sometimes you can get a puncture if you touch the wall from personal experience. But into the pit lane we go for one of the Alphas and Lance Stroll. We follow them in on the very next lap onto the medium tyres, and off we go for a 1.8 second pit stop. Marduk Motorsport. Guys, what are you on? This is absolutely unbelievable. They're starting to defy the laws of physics. I don't know. I really don't know. I was actually weaving the wheel because I was quite happy there. To be able to get in the mix and jump Raikkonen in the pit stops. So great job, team. I do very much appreciate your work. And now we're going to set after Lando Norris, who could well be a future teammate, as we see Kimi Raikkonen trying to come back at us in the middle sector straight. I was having absolutely none of that. So, yep, there was a wallaby on the left-hand side of the circuit, which I had to avoid. Definitely wasn't trying to block him off. Not at all. I'm not going to sit behind Kimi any longer than what I need to. Those bloody Alphas. Alfa Romeos are so darn annoying. I just don't want to get overtaken by them, get stuck behind them all race as we make a massive mistake into the hairpin. I nearly drilled Lando for good measure. It's side by side between myself and Kimi. We do out-drag him though, but we had to dump the battery in order to do so. So desperate times here in the midway point of this Grand Prix. But as long as we're holding on to Lando and his DRS, we should be able to keep Raikkonen at bay. If I didn't have Lando in front, I would be an absolutely massive sitting duck. I would be a horse-sized sitting duck. Think about that one for a bit. Anyway, overtake on Lando. We put a car between us and Kimi Raikkonen. If those Alphas get any faster in terms of downforce or chassis improvements, the field is in for... We're all in trouble. I'll say that much. If Ferrari is running with an illegal power unit, then Alfa Romeo definitely is. Ricciardo is in for his pit stop. And let's see where that puts him in the field. He's gone onto soft compound tyres, so I would imagine that he's going to make another stop in this Canadian Grand Prix. We've got lots more drivers in for medium tyres, and our pit window is now open at the end of this lap. So we're going to be diving it in. We are going to go for the medium tyres, go for the undercut. I've noticed the undercut is very powerful on this game, so to go against that and stretch it out on older tyres for a few laps may not be beneficial, especially when we've got the likes of Norris and Raikkonen behind us. I could really do with avoiding having to overtake them again in this race. So we're just going to follow suit onto the medium tyres. Come on, boys. Give me a good stop again. 2.5. You're all fired. Forget everything you ever did for me. You're all out. No, I'm joking. 2.5. I think we got held for the racing point, so that was in their defense, not their fault. Anyway, we rejoin right beside our teammate Mick Schumacher. It's imperative that we overtake him now. Pretty much turned across him into the first chicane. We'll have a replay of his onboard in just a second, but this was very, very close between the two of us. I think I used a little bit of overtake to get in front, and then we actually make contact with Mick there. Here's the front wing angle. Thankfully, I don't chop it off. But I tell you what, we really have been bullying not only my pit crew, but especially Mick. He's been copying a lot of flack from me. I definitely did not do him any favors there in that race scenario. I think back to China as well, where we dive bombed him there. Eventually, he will have some luck, and we might be repaying the favor, especially if it means we're going to score more points if I have to let him through or something. But either way, that is not the scenario today. The scenario is we are chasing down guys inside the top 10, much like we did in Baku last week. We did have the soft compound tyre advantage last time, but this time we're on the same tyre as those around us. So we're going to have to use natural pace here in order to get the job done. Kvyat and Sainz fighting side by side. We may be able to get both of these guys if we can open the DRS and overtake. Let's see if we can get Sainz. He goes defensive. We're going to go to the outside because we are absolutely forced to. Late under brakes. I don't want to turn in on Sainz there, so we're going to have to cut the corner, go around the bollard. But unfortunately, yeah, well, not unfortunately, I have to give up the position because it was an illegal overtake. So we're going to get Sainz to get in front of us here, and then straight away get him right back. 200 IQ plays right there, guys. To be honest, I don't know. I felt like that was probably our corner to take, but I didn't want to force a too wide moment through the final chicane of Canada. The last time I did that, I put a Sky Sports F1 commentator in the barrier, as well as myself. So you can forgive me for wanting to avoid that situation from happening again. Here comes Sainz. He's going to get us back anyway, so the corner cut, the cheeky 200 IQ overtake was all in vain. He's got us back anyway, and I think that's probably karma playing a big factor there. Let's see if we can get him back, maybe on this back straight. However, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get the overtake done on both these guys. It was an AlphaTauri we had to get past. This time, Racing Point, which are no slouches in a straight line. Here comes Lance Stroll. He opens a DRS. I don't believe he pressed overtake because he was kind of nowhere there. He does press overtake this time as he goes up the inside. We, in a counter-attacking move, also press overtake and yeet it around the outside there to hold on to P9. 9 laps to go in this Canadian Grand Prix, and Carlos Sainz is proving to be a slippery fish in this Grand Prix. Let's see if we can get him. Hopefully that's not too far away. I wonder if rain is far away. The forecast did say cloudy. It never said rain at any point. So hopefully it does stay away and we can just collect P8 in this Canadian Grand Prix without any issues. Can we get anything further than P8? I'm just looking at the mini-map in front of us, and no, not really. We have a 3-second time penalty, which is really going to throw a spanner into the works. It's pretty easy to get done for corner cutting here, and we have finally been caught out here 5 laps from home. But yeah, this makes life very difficult for us because the gap to Raikkonen behind is right on the edge of 3 seconds, which is the penalty we have at this stage. We need Sainz now to just pull us along and not hold us up. But as I say that, he's actually just turned his engine down over the last 2 or 3 laps. He has been pulling away a little bit, but it looked like on that occasion he was a little bit slow. So let's try to avoid that. The gap is now 2.6 seconds. So Raikkonen, on current merit, is closing, and he will get P9 in this Canadian Grand Prix. Ocon is also under 3 seconds, so I really need to get past Sainz literally right now. His pace is dropping off and I can't afford to stay behind him any longer. So here we go. Slipstream DRS overtake to the outside, and we are through now for P8 on track. However, we need to break 3 seconds to the cars behind. I don't think it's possible to get signs as Kevin Magnussen retires from the Grand Prix. I don't imagine there'll be a safety car. It's too close to the end for a safety car to come out. But yeah, we're going to try and run our own pace. We can't get signs in this Grand Prix, so the target is really just to secure P9 and pull away from Raikkonen and Ocon. I finally pronounced Ocon correctly. It's just one of those things I never think about until people correct me on it, so I'll try and say Ocon from now on. While we're at it, is there anyone else's name I don't pronounce correctly? I'm sure there is, probably like half the grid. Either way, it's the last lap of the Canadian Grand Prix. The gap to Raikkonen is a stable 3.5 seconds. This is the battle for the lead. Once again, it's really, really close. We have Sebastian Vettel winning the Canadian Grand Prix with his teammate literally right up his gearbox, and Lewis Hamilton, for good measure, only a couple seconds back. So, man, I want to be involved in this front of the field battle. I would love to be in a Ferrari or a Mercedes, or hell, even a Red Bull trying to put on the pressure, because those battles at the front are scintillating. Back in the midfield, though, it is P9 for Marduk Motorsport.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
That's it then for another magnificent Canadian Grand Prix, and they've hung on to take a sublime victory here today. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
So there we go. Canadian Grand Prix never fails to disappoint. The gap between all three of those drivers on the podium right there is pretty much what it looked like on circuit. No social distancing going on right there, lads. What is going on? I hope that they didn't cuddle right after we cut away. They probably did. But either way, it is a slender 2/10 margin between the Ferraris at the front of the field. That's absolutely insane. We get our first corner cutting penalty of the season. Coming at the Canadian Grand Prix, would you expect anything less? No, but I feel like I did very well to avoid the track limits. It is so easy to get done here. It's just curbs everywhere. You have to cut in order to be fast, and it just happens. We move up into P10 in the driver's standings. We do jump Antonio Giovinazzi. Daniel Ricciardo, lowly P12. He'd be disappointed with that. But we also jump Racing Point. No, we don't. Racing Point jump AlphaTauri. Now, I know I definitely pronounced that wrong, but it's so unnatural for me to say AlphaTauri. I'll try my best. It'll be one of those things where you just have to bear with me. Last year, I found it hard enough to call Racing Point, and not call them Force India. That took me a good while to manage. I'm just a bit of a clown sometimes. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. We are coming to the point where we need to select another driver to finish off the season. Mick Schumacher's contract is coming to an end in July. So we have a decision to make there, and we also have a bit of money, dosh. That were the two words I was trying to blend in together for some reason. We've got a bit of money to spend, and we'll delegate that as we see fit at the start of the next episode. So join me then as we shape the future of Marduk Motorsport in the world of Formula 1. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.